Chaos isn't new. The world has always been loud, unpredictable, and full of pressure. But there's a reason some people rise above it while others get swallowed by it. And Aristotle, yes, a man who lived over 2,000 years ago, left us a blueprint for becoming the kind of leader who stays unshakable no matter what storms hit. Today, in a world of constant distractions, rapid-fire decisions, and pressure to perform, Aristotle's philosophy isn't just relevant. It's a competitive advantage. He believed that success isn't about luck. It's about cultivating virtue, discipline, clarity, and balance. It's about shaping a mindset that can cut through noise and see opportunities where others only see obstacles. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to apply these ancient principles in your life, your career, your leadership, your habits, your decisions, right now in the modern era. Because the truth is simple. When you master your inner world, your outer world obeys. When you develop character, you develop power. And when you lead yourself with wisdom, you can lead anyone, anywhere. So stay with me. We're breaking down Aristotle's 3 core principles to build an unshakable leadership mindset that cuts through chaos. Your transformation starts now. Aristotle believed that every form of excellence begins in the inner world, not in external achievements, not in titles, not in income, in the inner balance of a person, the ability to regulate thoughts, emotions, expectations, and impulses. He called this the golden mean, the practice of finding the virtuous middle point between excess and deficiency. And if you want to lead in the modern era, this principle becomes your foundation, your anchor, your strategy for navigating a world that constantly tries to pull you off center. Think about how most Americans live today. You wake up already behind, checking emails before stepping out of bed. You rush through breakfast. You jump into meetings. You try to balance demands from your boss, your team, your family. Notifications jump at you every 10 seconds. You're trying to solve problems while new ones appear faster than you can breathe. And somewhere in the middle of all that, you're expected to make smart decisions, stay calm, act with discipline, and perform at your best. Aristotle knew something we often forget. You cannot lead anything if you cannot lead yourself. Leadership is not about controlling circumstances. It's about mastering your response to circumstances. It's about shaping your mindset so that chaos doesn't destabilize you. It's about cultivating habits that hold you steady when pressure rises. And that's exactly what the golden mean teaches. Imagine a line with 2 extremes. On one end, you have excess. On the other, deficiency. Aristotle believed that excellence, virtue, lives in the middle. Courage, for example, sits between recklessness and cowardice. Discipline sits between obsession and neglect. Confidence sits between arrogance and insecurity. Even success sits between frantic ambition and passive complacency. The balance point is where power lives. It's where clarity emerges. It's where you step into leadership that others respect and follow. Look at this through a modern lens. Think about a manager in New York who micromanages every detail. Their team feels suffocated. Productivity drops. Energy dies. Now think of another manager in the same company who barely communicates, avoids decisions, and leaves people guessing. Their team collapses from confusion. Both extremes destroy leadership. But the leader who finds the middle, clear direction without control, freedom with accountability, creates trust, alignment, and success. That's Aristotle's golden mean in action. Or take a personal example. Maybe you're someone who works constantly. You grind late into the night. You skip rest. You push harder because you believe that's what success demands. But then the crash comes. Burnout hits. Creativity dies. Health declines. On the other hand, maybe you've fallen into the kind of low-energy stagnation many Americans feel today. Life feels heavy. You procrastinate. You delay decisions. Days slip away. Both sides, overwork and underwork, trap you. The path to breakthrough lies in the middle. Consistent, steady, disciplined effort that respects your energy and your potential. Aristotle understood human behavior deeply. He didn't just study ideas. He studied patterns. He observed what caused people to fail, succeed, collapse, or grow. And he saw clearly that those who become great learn to balance emotional weather inside themselves. They don't let fear paralyze them or let impulsive excitement throw them into chaos. They don't live in extremes. They live in alignment, and alignment is what creates momentum. Now, picture this principle applied to decision-making, a space where modern professionals often struggle the most. You've probably faced moments where you made a rushed decision out of stress, or a delayed decision out of fear, or a confused decision because you felt overwhelmed. But Aristotle would tell you that the strongest decisions come from the balanced mind, the mind that is neither overly cautious nor overly bold, neither reactive nor frozen. When your inner world is balanced, your choices become clear. You move with strategy, not emotion. You lead with wisdom, not impulse. This is why so many high-level leaders practice calm routines in the morning, minimize distractions, and build mental discipline. They instinctively apply Aristotle's principle, even if they don't know it, because inner balance creates strategic power. Another way to see the golden mean is through the lens of emotional control. Think about anger. Too much anger turns into aggression and destruction. Too little anger turns into passivity and weakness. The middle point, measured, grounded anger, helps you set boundaries, protect what matters, and speak with authority. Or consider confidence. Too much confidence turns into arrogance. Too little confidence turns into self-doubt. The middle point is self-assured leadership that others genuinely trust. Americans today face emotional extremes every single day. Social media pulls you toward comparison and insecurity. Deadlines push you toward panic and overdrive. Workplace politics push you toward defensiveness. Financial pressure pulls you toward fear. But Aristotle's insight remains timeless. The world will always try to pull you out of balance. The leaders who rise are the ones who return to center faster than others. They build the discipline to stay grounded while everyone else loses control. Let's take a relatable, everyday example. Imagine you're driving home from work in LA traffic. Someone cuts you off, slams their brakes, and nearly causes an accident. You feel anger spike. You want to react. Most people explode. Some people hold it in until it festers. But the balanced response is different. You recognize the emotion. You don't deny it. You don't amplify it. You let it pass through. You choose clarity instead of chaos. That moment of self-governance strengthens your mindset. It builds the muscle of leadership. Because leadership isn't built in big decisions. It's built in small ones, the ones no one sees. Aristotle would say that inner balance is not a feeling. It's a skill. It's something you practice, refine, and strengthen over time. And the more you practice it, the more unshakable you become. The storms don't disappear. You simply stop getting tossed around by them. And here's the deeper truth. People follow those who are balanced. They trust those who remain calm under pressure. They look up to those who can navigate uncertainty without losing focus. In personal relationships, in teams, in businesses, in life, balance creates influence. Balance creates stability. Balance creates leadership. This is why Aristotle's golden mean isn't just philosophy. It's modern strategy. It's a framework for success, productivity, discipline, and personal growth. It's the foundation for building a mindset that stays consistent in a world of constant change. It's what helps you make better decisions, build better habits, and handle challenges with clarity instead of fear. And that brings us to the critical transition, because understanding balance is only the beginning. Knowing the principle is one thing. Applying it in today's world is another. And in the modern era, we face unique challenges Aristotle never saw. Digital overload, endless information, social pressure, economic shifts, workplace instability, and a culture that constantly demands more. So here's the question you must ask yourself. How do you apply ancient wisdom to modern chaos in a way that actually works? Stay with me, because in the next chapter, we're going to explore the exact challenges you face today, why most people crumble under them, and why Aristotle's principles might be the most powerful advantage you can carry into the modern world. We live in an era Aristotle could never have imagined, yet he understood the human mind so deeply that his philosophy maps perfectly onto the world we face today. And if Chapter 1 revealed the principle of inner balance, Chapter 2 reveals why it's harder than ever to maintain that balance, and why unlocking it is now a superpower. Look around at the way modern Americans live. Every day feels like a battlefield of noise and pressure. Your phone becomes an alarm clock, a news feed, an inbox, a workplace, a social arena, and a never-ending list of unfinished tasks. Before you even take your first sip of coffee, you've already absorbed more information than people in Aristotle's time consumed in a week. You're carrying financial worries, workplace expectations, health concerns, and family responsibilities, all at once. And as if that weren't enough, the digital world adds a constant layer of comparison, urgency, distraction, and artificial pressure. Aristotle taught that a person becomes excellent when they govern themselves well. But modern life makes self-governance incredibly difficult. You're pulled in 20 different directions. You're expected to be available at all hours. You're exposed to stress triggers constantly. And the biggest challenge isn't the chaos outside. It's the way it destabilizes the inside. Americans today feel more overwhelmed, overstimulated, and disconnected from their own judgment than ever before. Let's break down the real challenges one by one. First, constant distraction. Aristotle believed focus was essential for virtue because without attention, you can't make good decisions or cultivate discipline. But the modern world attacks your attention every minute. Notifications, ads, emails, social feeds, news alerts, podcasts, 1,000 voices trying to influence your thoughts. Your mind becomes scattered, and a scattered mind cannot lead, no matter how hard it tries. Second, emotional overload. Aristotle understood emotions deeply. He knew that when emotions control you, they distort your perception. Today, stress hits you from every direction. Work deadlines trigger anxiety. Social media triggers insecurity. Political tension triggers frustration. Economic uncertainty triggers fear. And because everything is happening so fast, you don't get a moment to breathe. Most people stay stuck in a reactive state. They aren't choosing their responses. Their environment is choosing for them. Third, decision fatigue. Aristotle believed that excellence comes from choosing the right action consistently. But modern individuals make more micro-decisions in a single day than people in the ancient world made in a week. What to eat, what message to respond to, what tasks to prioritize, how to balance work and family, which bills to pay first, when to rest, when to push harder, and those decisions drain mental energy. So by the time you face real, meaningful choices, career shifts, leadership decisions, personal boundaries, you're already depleted. Fourth, the pressure to perform. Americans today live under relentless expectations. You must do more, earn more, respond faster, look better, produce constantly, stay competitive. There's no off switch, no natural boundaries. Aristotle believed that excellence requires balance, but the modern world rewards extremes. Grind harder, sleep less, move faster. The culture pushes people toward the very imbalance that destroys clarity, resilience, and long-term success. Fifth, the collapse of solitude. Aristotle insisted that reflection is essential for wisdom. You cannot understand yourself, your emotions, or your decisions without moments of silence. But silence is nearly impossible today. Even when people are alone, they're mentally crowded by noise. Streaming, scrolling, multitasking. No stillness, no internal space. And without reflection, there is no self-awareness. And without self-awareness, there is no leadership. All of this creates a dangerous cycle, one that most people don't even realize they're caught in. When you're distracted, you lose clarity. When you lose clarity, you make poor decisions. When you make poor decisions, you increase stress. When stress rises, you lose emotional control. And when emotional control collapses, your productivity, your discipline, your relationships, your confidence, they all unravel. This is why so many people today feel stuck. They're not failing because they're incapable. They're failing because their environment overwhelms the systems that Aristotle believed define success. Now let's ground this in a few real-life examples. Picture a mother in Atlanta who's juggling remote work, helping her kids with homework, managing the household, and trying to take care of herself. She wants to build better habits. She wants more discipline. She wants to feel in control. But the moment she sits down to work, her phone buzzes. An email arrives from her boss. A teacher message pops up. A news headline flashes. Suddenly, she's pulled off balance. Not because she's weak, but because modern pressure is designed to hijack attention and emotion. Or think about a business owner in Austin. He wants to lead his team with clarity, but he's flooded with decisions, meetings, and last-minute fires. He wants to be calm and strategic, but every day feels urgent. Over time, small imbalances compound. He becomes reactive. He becomes impatient. He loses sight of the big picture, and leadership begins to slip. Or consider something as simple as the evening routine. Many Americans sit on the couch after a long day, telling themselves they'll relax for a moment. They pick up their phone. They start scrolling. 30 minutes turn into 2 hours. Now it's late. They're tired. They didn't rest. They didn't reflect. They didn't prepare for tomorrow. That little imbalance becomes a chain reaction that affects productivity, focus, and energy the next day. Aristotle would say that the habit formed in that moment shapes the quality of your character over time. Modern chaos isn't just stressful. It trains your mind toward imbalance. And imbalance, Aristotle would warn, is the beginning of decline. But he'd also say this: the more chaotic the world becomes, the more powerful inner discipline becomes. The more noise there is, the more valuable clarity becomes. The more people feel lost, the more leadership rooted in wisdom stands out. This is why Aristotle's teachings matter more today than ever. In a world filled with impulsiveness, the disciplined person becomes the leader. In a world filled with emotional overload, the grounded person becomes the example. In a world filled with scattered attention, the focused person becomes unstoppable. And in a world filled with extremes, the balanced person becomes unshakable. So here's the real question: how do you break out of modern chaos? How do you regain clarity, discipline, confidence, and control? How do you apply Aristotle's wisdom in a way that fits your real life, your real responsibilities, your real challenges? The answer lies in practical, actionable steps. Steps that Aristotle himself taught and that modern leaders still use today. And in the next chapter, we're going to break them down into simple habits, small wins, and daily practices that transform overwhelm into stability, confusion into clarity, and chaos into strength. Because the path to unshakable leadership starts with small actions done consistently. And what comes next will show you exactly how to build that foundation. If chapters 1 and 2 showed why Aristotle's wisdom matters in the modern world, this chapter shows exactly how you apply it. Not in theory, not in abstraction, but in the small daily actions that build discipline, mindset, productivity, and personal growth, the behaviors that create unshakable leadership from the inside out. Aristotle believed something profoundly simple yet incredibly powerful. Excellence is not an act. It's a habit. He taught that we become what we repeatedly do. Virtue is not a gift. It's a practice. Strength is not a personality trait. It's a routine. And when you build the right routines, your entire life begins to shift toward clarity, balance, confidence, and success. So let's break down the practical Aristotelian method. Habits you can apply today. Begin the morning with clarity, not chaos. Aristotle believed that the first moments of the day set the tone for virtue. If you begin the day distracted and reactive, you spend the whole day playing catch-up. So here's the rule. Before you check your phone, breathe. Sit for 60 seconds. Let your mind settle. Let your thoughts come into focus. This tiny act gives you something Aristotle valued deeply: self-governance. It's the habit of leading your mind before the world gets a chance to do it for you. Most Americans start the day in panic mode. They wake up and instantly check messages. Their mind becomes fragmented in less than 10 seconds. But the person who begins the day with intentional clarity gains a mental advantage that compounds hour after hour. Practice the golden mean in micro-decisions. You already learned that Aristotle's golden mean is the path to balance, wisdom, and excellence. But how do you practice it? Through micro-decisions. Tiny moments where you choose balance over extremes. You're hungry. You want to eat everything in the fridge. Pause. Find the middle. You're angry. You want to yell or stay silent. Pause. Find the middle. You're tired. You want to quit or push yourself too far. Pause. Find the middle. These small pauses build the muscle of restraint, wisdom, and emotional control. And just like a muscle, it grows stronger every time you use it. Limit the noise. Expand the mind. Aristotle valued focus more than almost anything. He believed the mind becomes powerful when it is directed, not scattered. In today's world, that means reducing digital noise. One of the most transformative daily habits you can build is this. Choose a window of time where you silence notifications, turn your phone face down, and protect your attention like a valuable resource. Think of it as a wisdom window, a period where your mind is allowed to breathe, think, reflect, and work deeply. During this time, you can read, plan, write, solve problems, or think strategically. This habit alone can elevate your productivity and mental clarity more than any app, tool, or hack. Live with intentional effort, not chaotic energy. Aristotle taught that discipline means living with purpose, not random action, not impulsive reactions, but intentional effort. So here's a simple rule. Choose your top 3 priorities for the day. Just 3, not 20, not 10. 3. When everything is important, nothing is important. Narrowing your focus brings power, productivity, and effectiveness. Imagine an American professional going through the day with 20 competing tasks and endless distractions. Now imagine the same person moving through the day with 3 clear targets. The difference is massive. One life feels chaotic, the other feels strategic. Strengthen your judgment through reflection. Aristotle believed that judgment improves through practice, experience, and reflection. Every evening, take a few minutes to review your actions. Ask yourself, where was I balanced today? Where did I fall into excess or deficiency? What did I learn from it? What can I improve tomorrow? This simple habit upgrades your decision-making skills. It trains your mind to notice patterns, learn from mistakes, and choose better actions. Over time, you'll see clearer, think deeper, and react slower, just like a seasoned leader. Practice small acts of courage. Aristotle called courage the first virtue because without it, no other virtue can be practiced consistently. In modern life, courage is not always dramatic. It's small. It's subtle. It's saying what needs to be said. It's making a decision you've been avoiding. It's setting a boundary. It's taking responsibility instead of making excuses. Every act of courage expands your capacity for leadership, and when practiced daily, courage becomes a natural part of your mindset. It shapes your character. It shapes your presence. It shapes your influence. Build a habit of calm under pressure. Modern life throws countless small stressors at you. Traffic, emails, unexpected requests, last-minute changes. Aristotle would tell you to use these moments like a training ground. Each moment of stress becomes an opportunity to practice the golden mean, to breathe, to regulate emotion, to stay centered. Picture someone in line at the grocery store. The line moves slowly. A problem at the register slows everything down. People get irritated, but you choose patience. You choose balance. You choose to train your inner stability. That small practice strengthens your leadership, because people who think clearly under pressure become the ones others rely on. Protect energy with boundaries. Aristotle believed that preserving strength is part of excellence. He would say that without boundaries, your energy drains, your judgment collapses, and your productivity falls apart. So ask yourself, where am I giving too much? Where am I saying yes when I should say no? Where am I allowing responsibilities that do not serve my goals? Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They protect your time, your clarity, your mental focus, your emotional balance, and your purpose. Practice gratitude as a form of balance. Aristotle saw gratitude as a virtue that brings the mind into harmony. When you recognize what you have, instead of obsessing over what you lack, your worldview becomes balanced, grounded, and wise. Gratitude increases emotional strength. It stabilizes mood. It increases resilience. And it makes challenges easier to carry. Even a single moment of gratitude at night can recalibrate the entire nervous system. Now here's the key. None of these habits are dramatic. None require huge sacrifices. None demand endless hours. They are small, simple, consistent behaviors that train your mind toward balance, discipline, and clarity. And once they become routine, something powerful happens. You start leading your inner world. Your emotions follow your decisions. Your actions follow your intentions. Your habits shape your future. Your mindset becomes your strategy. Aristotle would say that at this stage, you're no longer reacting to life. You're guiding it with wisdom. You're building the kind of character that makes leadership natural, not forced. And once you master these daily habits, you unlock a new challenge, applying them at a higher level in leadership, business, and complex decision-making. Because these small habits are just the beginning. What comes next is where Aristotle's method becomes unstoppable, using this ancient philosophy to upgrade your leadership, amplify your success, and sharpen your strategy in a world that desperately needs wise, balanced decision-makers. Now that you've built the foundation, inner balance, disciplined habits, and the golden mean, it's time to elevate everything to the level where Aristotle's philosophy becomes a true competitive advantage in leadership, productivity, and long-term success. This is where ancient wisdom meets modern strategy. This is where self-governance becomes influence. This is where your personal mindset begins to shape the world around you. Aristotle believed that leadership wasn't about authority. It wasn't about titles. It wasn't about control. Leadership was about character. It was about the alignment between your actions and your values. It was about the way you think, the way you decide, and the way you carry yourself. And in today's world, where people crave stability, clarity, and direction, this kind of character becomes magnetic. Let's step into how this applies to real leadership in the modern era. Leadership begins with emotional architecture. Aristotle taught that the first responsibility of a leader is to be emotionally steady. When a leader is unbalanced, everyone around them feels it. Teams fall apart. Families become unstable. Workplaces become stressful. But when a leader is grounded, when they think clearly, respond calmly, and act intentionally, they become a point of order in a chaotic world. Think of a team in a tech company facing a sudden crisis, a product glitch, a server outage, a PR issue. Many leaders panic. Their anxiety spreads. Everyone becomes reactive. But a leader trained in Aristotelian wisdom stands firm. They breathe. They assess. They communicate clearly. They embody discipline. And because they are balanced, their team becomes balanced. This is how strong leadership shapes culture. Make decisions using Aristotle's triad of clarity: reason, virtue, and purpose. Aristotle believed that strong decisions come from three forces working together: reason, logic, and analysis; virtue, the moral compass that guides behavior; purpose, the direction that aligns actions with long-term goals. In modern life, most people make decisions using emotion alone: pressure, stress, fear, impulse. But a leader uses the triad. They ask, what is the rational choice? What is the virtuous choice? What is the choice aligned with my ultimate purpose? This method reduces regret. It increases productivity. It increases success. And it creates trust, because people can feel when your decisions come from strength instead of fear. Use Aristotle's golden mean to diffuse conflict and build influence. In leadership, whether you're managing a team, guiding a family, or negotiating at work, conflict is unavoidable. But how you respond to conflict determines the outcome. Aristotle's principle gives you a strategic advantage. Stay between extremes. Too aggressive, and you shut people down. Too passive, and you lose authority. The golden mean gives you the middle path. Assertive clarity. It sounds simple, but it's powerful. When you communicate with balance, your message hits harder. You earn respect. You influence without force. You create alignment instead of resistance. Imagine handling a difficult employee in a Chicago office. They've missed deadlines. They've ignored feedback. Most leaders swing to extremes, either confrontation or avoidance. But the Aristotelian leader chooses balance. Firm but fair. Direct but respectful. Clear but compassionate. This kind of leadership transforms relationships, teams, and outcomes. Build a leadership presence through disciplined habits. Aristotle was convinced that repeated actions shape identity. And in leadership, identity shapes presence. How people perceive you, respond to you, and follow you. Your presence isn't built in one moment. It's built through small patterns. Showing up on time, delivering consistent results, keeping your word, remaining calm under pressure, making balanced decisions, thinking before speaking, treating others with dignity. These behaviors shape a reputation of excellence. And in today's workplace, where trust is rare and inconsistency is common, excellence stands out. Turn wisdom into productivity through focused execution. Modern professionals confuse busyness with productivity. But Aristotle would say that productivity is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It's about effectiveness, not exhaustion. And the leaders who understand this outperform everyone else. Here's the Aristotelian formula: clarity of purpose, strategic decisions, focused execution, excellent results. Imagine a project manager in Seattle. They spend the morning answering messages, jumping between tasks, and multitasking into exhaustion. Now imagine another manager with the same responsibilities, but using Aristotelian strategy. They begin their day with clarity. They choose their top priorities. They eliminate distractions. They execute with discipline. Same hours, same workload, completely different results. Led through virtue, the invisible advantage. Aristotle believed virtue wasn't optional. It was the foundation of influence. People follow those who embody the values they respect: integrity, fairness, courage, discipline, honesty. In a world where shortcuts are common and ethics bend easily, virtue becomes rare. And because it's rare, it becomes powerful. Think about the leaders you admire most. What stands out isn't perfection. It's consistency. It's trustworthiness. It's fairness. It's the sense that when they speak, they mean it. When they make a promise, they honor it. That's Aristotelian virtue. It builds loyalty. It strengthens teams. It elevates morale. It creates long-term success. Strengthen communication with Aristotelian rhetoric. Aristotle was the father of persuasive communication. His framework is still used in politics, business, law, and leadership today. He said that influence requires three elements: ethos, credibility, pathos, emotional connection, logos, logical clarity. Combine these and you become a communicator people listen to, trust, and follow. In meetings, in negotiations, in presentations, in everyday conversations. Think of a leader speaking to a team during a tough quarter. They speak honestly, ethos. They acknowledge the team's stress and connect emotionally, pathos. They lay out a clear plan with strong reasoning, logos. That leader gains trust, not through authority, but through humanity and clarity. Use balance as your leadership superpower. Across every environment, workplaces, communities, families, people look for someone who stays calm when others panic, who stays steady when things fall apart, who stays rational when emotions run high. That kind of person becomes the natural leader, not because they demand leadership, but because others give it to them. Aristotle would say this is the highest form of influence, earned leadership. Leadership achieved through virtue, wisdom, discipline, and presence. Apply Aristotelian thinking to long-term strategy. Aristotle taught that the future is shaped by the patterns you build today. Long-term success is simply the result of daily excellence repeated over time. Modern leaders forget this. They chase quick wins. They run toward shortcuts. They rely on urgency instead of strategy. But the Aristotelian leader plays the long game. They choose principle over convenience. They choose growth over ego. They choose clarity over chaos. They choose balance over extremes. And these choices compound into success, career success, business success, and personal success. Now here's the important truth. Once you start applying these advanced strategies, emotional stability, strategic decision-making, virtue, balanced communication, long-term thinking, you stop operating like the average professional. You begin operating like a leader whose influence runs deep. But this is not the final stage. Aristotle believed the highest form of success isn't just achievement, it's transformation. It's becoming the kind of person whose life is aligned, powerful, purposeful, and full of inner excellence. This is where everything comes together. This is where Aristotle's method becomes life-changing. This is where you step into mastery and transformation. You've built your foundation. You've faced the modern challenges that fracture focus and drain inner strength. You've learned practical habits, and you've explored the advanced strategies that shape real leadership. Now it's time to step into the highest level of Aristotle's method, the level he believed defined a truly excellent life, the level he called eudaimonia. This word is often translated as happiness, but it means something much deeper. It means a life lived in full alignment. a life guided by virtue, purpose, wisdom, and discipline. A life where you are not controlled by chaos, but guided by strategy. A life where your internal world becomes so stable, so strong, so clear, that nothing outside of you can shake your leadership, your mindset, your decisions, or your success. This chapter is about transformation. And if you take these ideas seriously, if you apply them consistently, your life can shift in ways most people never experience. Let's begin with one powerful truth Aristotle believed. Mastery is not about perfection. It's about becoming the kind of person who consistently chooses the right actions, builds the right habits, and aligns with the right principles. Mastery is character in motion. So what does Aristotelian mastery look like in the modern world? You begin to think before reacting, every time. Modern life trains us to react instantly. Notifications, crises, opinions, interruptions, they all demand emotional responses. But when you reach mastery, you stop reacting and start reflecting. Aristotle believed the ability to pause, evaluate, and choose the balanced response is the mark of inner excellence. At this point, stress doesn't own you. Impulse doesn't control you. The world may push, but you don't move unless you choose to. Imagine facing a stressful meeting, an argument, or a sudden problem. Instead of snapping back or freezing, you pause. You breathe. You choose your response. That one skill elevates your leadership to elite levels. It increases your influence, protects your relationships, and strengthens your discipline. Your mindset becomes strategic instead of emotional. Aristotle believed the mind should lead the emotions, not the other way around. When you reach mastery, you start seeing situations not as threats, but as strategic puzzles. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What's the best action I can take right now?" That shift alone can reshape your career, your productivity, and your confidence. Think of someone navigating a career challenge, a layoff, a rejected promotion, a difficult boss. Most people panic or collapse into frustration, but the Aristotelian mindset looks for opportunity, clarity, and long-term advantage. This perspective transforms setbacks into stepping stones. You eliminate extremes and live in powerful balance. By now, the golden mean is no longer a concept. It's a lens you use to navigate everything: workload, stress, relationships, communication, ambition, routines. You start noticing when you're drifting into excess. You notice when you're drifting into deficiency. And instead of getting pulled around by emotional momentum, you bring yourself back to the center. This balance creates a leadership presence people feel immediately. It makes you trustworthy, steady, and wise. You build habits that create unstoppable momentum. Aristotle believed that consistent habits shape your destiny. And once you've practiced the daily behaviors from Chapter 3 long enough, they stop being effortful. They become automatic. You stop forcing discipline. Discipline becomes your default. You begin each day with clarity. You protect your focus without guilt. You act with purpose instead of hesitation. You evaluate your decisions calmly. You keep your word. You move through stress with precision. This creates a momentum most people never experience. A rhythm, a flow, a sense of direction that feels powerful and natural. You start influencing others effortlessly. Mastery radiates outward. As your mindset sharpens and your habits strengthen, people begin noticing something different about you. They feel safer around you, more confident around you, more inspired around you. They seek your opinion. They trust your judgment. They follow your lead, not because you demand it, but because you embody it. This is Aristotelian leadership, leadership built through virtue, consistency, balance, and wisdom. You begin living with purpose instead of drifting. Aristotle believed that humans feel empty when they live without purpose. Today, many Americans feel exactly that, overworked yet unfulfilled, busy yet directionless. But when you reach mastery, purpose becomes your fuel. You know your values. You know what matters. You know your mission, and every action aligns with that mission. Purpose gives you endurance. Purpose gives you confidence. Purpose gives you direction. Purpose gives you power. When life has purpose, distractions weaken, fear decreases, and discipline rises naturally. You develop resilience that makes you unshakable. Aristotle taught that virtue grows through challenge. Every obstacle, every setback, every moment of pressure becomes training, not something to avoid, but something to use. And when you reach mastery, adversity no longer scares you. It strengthens you. You face challenges calmly. You adapt quickly. You maintain clarity. You remain authentic. This resilience is rare in today's world, and that rarity makes you stand out as a leader. You align your inner world and outer world. Most people live with internal conflict, saying one thing, doing another, wanting one path but walking a different one. But mastery removes this conflict. Your thoughts, actions, habits, and values align. This creates a powerful inner harmony Aristotle believed was the highest state a human could reach. When your inner world is aligned, your outer world transforms. Work becomes more meaningful. Relationships deepen. Decisions feel cleaner. Life becomes simpler, calmer, more strategic, and more successful. And here is the most important transformation. You stop chasing success and start embodying excellence. Aristotle would say that success is a byproduct. It's something that appears naturally when you become excellent at living. You don't chase achievement. You attract it. You don't force leadership. You grow into it. You don't hope for discipline. You become disciplined. This is the end game. This is transformation. This is mastery. Now imagine living with this kind of presence, clarity, and influence. Imagine waking up without internal chaos. Imagine handling challenges with calm strength. Imagine building relationships that thrive on trust. Imagine leading people with confidence and wisdom. Imagine making decisions that open doors instead of creating problems. Imagine living a life guided not by stress, not by noise, not by impulse, but by virtue, strategy, balance, and purpose. This is Aristotle's vision of a powerful human being. Not perfect, not superhuman, just disciplined, wise, balanced, and fully alive. And when you reach this level, when your character drives your actions and your actions shape your success, you don't just survive the modern world. You master it. You rise above it. You become the unshakable leader in a time when the world desperately needs people who can stand strong. And now that you've reached this point, there's only one thing left: taking these ideas and turning them into daily action. Because transformation doesn't happen in a moment. It happens in the habits you choose tonight, tomorrow morning, and every day after that. Let's close with the essential takeaways that make this journey real. Aristotle taught that excellence is built, not found. And if you take one thing from this video, let it be this: strong habits create strong leadership. Clear decisions create clear direction. And disciplined action creates unstoppable momentum. If today's ideas spoke to you, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. This channel is here to help you grow with wisdom, balance, and real strategy. And if you want to keep learning right now, watch the video on your left, The Golden Mean, Why Your Life is Missing Balance, or the one on your right, Never Doubt Again, Aristotle's master strategy to decide fast. Choose one, and keep your transformation going.